It was my idea to go to Belgium, though neither of us had any deep connection to the country. We wanted somewhere cold and quiet for October, and Ghent had a reputation for beautiful canals, medieval charm, and far fewer tourists than Bruges. We booked an apartment on the top floor of a 19th century row house on the Veldstraat, an elegant, narrow street where the glow of storefronts dimmed early and fog rolled up from the water at night. The apartment had dark wood beams, slanted ceilings, and oddly no mirrors, not in the bathroom, not in the bedroom. The host said something about past guests breaking too many and deciding not to replace them. Neither of us thought much of it at the time. We had started practicing astral projection about 6 months earlier after stumbling onto a collection of old Monroe Institute tapes at a second-hand bookstore in Sweden. At first it was just a curiosity, something to play with during long nights. But soon we became serious, studying energy work, binaural frequencies, and breath control. We agreed early on, we would never attempt it apart. We'd always lie down together, side by side, fingers lightly touching, one anchor in case the rest slipped. The apartment in Ghent was perfect for it. Cold, still, and quiet. Our mattress was laid out directly beneath the skylight, where the overcast Belgian sky glowed like a dull silver sheet. That afternoon we prepared, closing the curtains, unplugging devices, setting a timer for safety, though we'd never once needed it before. Rain had begun to fall softly over the roof, a rhythm that seemed to deepen our breath as we lay side by side, palms up. I remember when it began, how everything sank. The sounds of the room stretched, warped, slowed. A pulsing began behind my ears, and then I felt the familiar weightlessness rise. My hands and feet tingled. My breathing stopped without panic. And then we lifted. It was never visual at first, more a sensation, like slipping through gauze or falling into a deeper silence. But then I could see the room, though dimly, as if viewed through smoked glass. Our bodies lay still on the mattress. The air around us shimmered faintly. She reached for me first. Not physically, but through that strange connection we always felt in this state. A tug, not unkind, but firm. I followed. The apartment had changed. It was still ours in form, but the colours had drained, the walls paled, the corners deepened. The shadows under the beams stretched long and touched the floor like fingers. There was no rain on the skylight anymore. Just a dull humming sound coming from the corners, like air being sucked through unseen vents. She gestured toward the door, the one that had been locked since we arrived. It was just beyond the small kitchen, a thin wooden thing with a black iron handle. We'd asked the host about it, and were told it was just a sealed-off stairwell, part of the original house, now unused. In this state, the door was open. We crossed the threshold. What had once been wood gave way to something far older, stone walls, lined with soot, and a staircase that spiraled downward. The temperature dropped, not in our skin, but in our minds. A slow numbness settled over my thoughts. Still we descended. Each step echoed strangely, as if the sound looped back seconds later, delayed and warped. The staircase was impossibly long. It coiled like a tunnel drilled through time, and there were markings along the walls, strange spirals, intersecting triangles, glyphs etched into the damp stone. Not paint. Carved. Old. The stairs ended in a room, a chamber, circular. Its floor was a mosaic of fractured tiles, black and grey, and the air shimmered with heat that didn't burn. At the centre was a circle of salt, disturbed, and something sat hunched within it. We didn't move closer. We couldn't. My vision shifted, narrowed. The figure was neither still nor in motion, its form shifting as if caught between moments. It pulsed. I sensed she felt it too, the wrongness. A current of cold ran through us. I reached for her mind, for that tether we always kept, but it felt stretched, thin, like a thread at the edge of a blade. The thing lifted its head. No face, only the suggestion of one, like a mask submerged in ink. It looked through us. And then I understood. We had gone too far. Whatever space this was, it wasn't within our choosing. We hadn't projected here. We'd been pulled. The hum intensified. The chamber shook slightly. Cracks formed along the edges of the salt ring. The thing moved, just inches, but it was enough. The wall behind it began to peel, not crumble, but peel, like wet paper. Behind it was a void, an absence of light so absolute it ached to look at. The darkness had mass, presence. We turned, instinct overriding everything, and fled back up the stairs. The steps bent beneath our feet, now soft and spongy, resisting our return. The air thickened. I tried to scream, not out of fear, but to find her, to keep the thread between us tight, but sound had no place here. It crumpled before it formed. At the top, the door was no longer open. We floated, fought, through the outline of the door, back into the apartment, now different again. It was no longer ours. The mattress was still there, and our bodies still lay upon it, but the room had changed. The beams above were charred, the walls stained. The windows no longer looked out onto Veldstraat, but onto shifting, endless rows of brick tenements that bled into the horizon like smeared ink. The city was gone. The world beyond had twisted. She reached for her body. I saw her hesitate. Something stood beside it, tall, gaunt, its head scraping the slope of the ceiling. Its skin was ash white, eyes wide, expressionless. It tilted slightly, as though studying her. Then me, the way a curious predator does before deciding whether to strike. I moved between them, though what that meant in this state I didn't know. I pushed against the thing. I thought the act, and something shifted. It turned, but not away. It pivoted sideways, vanishing between the gaps in the room, not disappearing, just stepping elsewhere. The humming stopped. She slipped back into her body. I followed. It wasn't immediate, like water finding its level again. The pressure eased, the air brightened. I felt my chest rise. My fingers twitched. I opened my eyes. The skylight was above me. Rain was falling. She was breathing, eyes wide, tears on her cheeks. We didn't speak. We didn't write anything down. We just lay there for a long time, holding hands, anchoring each other to the here and now. The rain continued. Ghent returned. But something never left. Later that night, while brushing my teeth in the mirrorless bathroom, I caught something reflected faintly in the dark window pane. Just movement, a tilt of the head, a figure too tall for the frame, bending down to look in. When I turned, nothing was there. The next day we left the apartment. We never left reviews, never contacted the host, never tried projection again. But some nights, when the rain is just soft enough and the silence too still, I feel that weightlessness return. Like a question asked in a language I've never learned but somehow understand. And I know that door, whatever it opened to, remembers me.